my apartment here, it looks like a brothel, but it's not. I'm a biohacker. Biohacking can be something as simple as going outside in the morning to expose your face to sunlight. That's a biohack because it's going to help with sleep. Or deliberately walking 15 minutes after every single meal. That's a biohack because it's going to lower your blood sugar. So my main mission is to provide people with extremely cutting edge health information that will benefit their overall health, energy, and performance. Peptides, drugs, herbs, supplements that I've used over the years. I'm not even joking that I think it would be over 250, probably even 300. I've even taken things that I know no one else in Australia has ever used before. If you look at the news and the media, like most of the time what they say, you should do the opposite. When I brought it up, they actually threatened to sue me. Which
Wait, what?
Oh, you haven't heard about that?
Wait, what? No.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
Quickly though, before this episode starts, the majority of people watching this podcast haven't yet hit the follow button. I can't tell you how much it helps. The show gets bigger, which means we can increase our production and also allows us to bring in some of the best guests that you want to see while allowing us to continue to do the thing that we love. Thank you so much for your time. So, hey, Lucas, welcome to the podcast.
Adam, yeah, it's great to be here.
How's your day treating you so far?
It's been good. I've already recorded 2 podcasts today, so this will be my 3rd.
Jeez, you're a busy man. Well, maybe we can dig into the tools that you use to stay focused at some point. We'll start with if you give us an elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, and how you're hoping to contribute to the world. What would that sound like?
Yeah, so I guess the way that I like to frame it is that I educate people with health information that they'll struggle to find on Google. So my main mission is to provide people with extremely cutting edge health information that will benefit their overall health, energy, and performance.
Mm-hmm. And how do you go about finding this cutting edge information?
Yeah, so in terms of the way in which I, uncover these studies, these scientific journals, I studied naturopathy. So within that, degree, 4 years full time, we got taught about how to research, how to, look for high quality evidence and understand research papers. And so that definitely came to, be an advantage in terms of how I uncover health research. But one thing that I really pride myself on doing is being the first to talk about brand new studies that have just been released. So I love to showcase extremely new and novel and insightful information that no one else is talking about.
Yeah, brilliant. And what kind of got you into this space? What was the early years of your life like to lead you into health?
Yeah, well, I was playing, my initial goal when I was a youngster was to try and be a professional soccer player, to become to make it into the A-League. I had a goal of making it into Melbourne Victory.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
At the time in which I was putting in a lot of effort into training and understanding biology. I also was working in my dad's pharmacy, so I was getting familiar with that medical environment and that sort of stuff. And then from there, I got involved in a health startup, and we were actually the very first nootropics company in Australia. So we were for those. Maybe your listeners may not be familiar with the word nootropics. I'm sure you are. Mm-hmm. Nootropic basically just means any compound or supplement that can be used to increase mental capacity. So improving memory, concentration, learning, things like that. And then from there, I started studying, naturopathy. So my main mission has always been I always felt like I've had a really good eye for uncovering great information and then just sort of distilling that and presenting it to the masses.
Yeah, cool. So you've, and how's that gone so far? How's that progression gone as a career?
Well, I would say about 2 years ago, I'll never forget the day. Everyone's got a pivotal moment, a break, like a moment that just put them on the map, put them on the map. Well, for me, I was fortunate that I got discovered by Ben Greenfield, who's also, very well-known biohacker, probably the leading biohacker in the world. Mm-hmm. was when he sent me a direct message on Instagram, and he said he's like, hey man, you've got an awesome page here. Here's my mobile number. Let's chat. And I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I was on a date when I got that message, and I actually left the date to I was crying because I was so excited.
You start bawling your eyes out. This girl's like, what is going on? Yeah. I'm a vegetarian. What?
It was, that was like a pivotal moment for me, because I was like, all right, now I'm getting awareness from I'm getting recognition from the guys that I respect enormously. And so then after that moment, featuring on Ben Greenfield's podcast, all of a sudden, 30, 40,000 followers on Instagram, you were a really highly qualified audience, started following me. And then, till this day, just looking back, I'm just every single day, I'm so grateful that I get to do what I love, and that I'm also able to, earn good money doing what I'm doing as well.
It's a good place to be. How much work were you doing in this space before you feel like it hit?
Well, that's a really good question, because no one's really asked about what did you do to build your name, build your profile. So I used to stay back at university. So after even we did let's say I had a typical 6-hour day at university, I would stay back after class, and that's when I would put in 3 to 4 hours of developing the Instagram posts, so designing, developing the captions, creating the static images, doing all of that just by myself. And I'm like, fuck, I hope this post is gonna, I hope it's gonna.
And then no one watches them. I know it all too
this
well.
one's gonna pop. This one's going to pop, and then all of a sudden it just flops. It's like, shit, damn, back to the drawing board. And then I was always like, okay, all right, why didn't it perform well? And I was just always rapidly learning, and I was happy to fail fast and just quickly learn. And then I just, eventually what happened was I discovered I would say there's a strategy that I deployed that I don't see anyone else talking about on Instagram, which was I actually set up big DM groups with people within my niche, so health coaches who were way bigger than me, who had hundreds of thousands of followers. And all I would do in these groups was I would share them studies and then ask who wants to collaborate on this study.
And how did it go?
And it worked. It worked, because then they're like, oh, this is a great study, Lucas.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. So then I was like, okay. And then I would get their audience to follow me, and then that was pretty much that.
Yeah. So how long timeline-wise from, say, going, I'm going to start working in this space and I'm going to really build a content strategy and I'm going to go into nootropics and I'm going to make this a career, to it actually making any sense, was it?
I would say a good 2.5 years. It was about 2.5 years. Yeah. It was I made a goal to myself that I would not promote a single product until I'd hit I think it was 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to build an audience and try and it's all about reputation and credibility. So I had 2 years to showcase that I know my shit. I know what I'm talking about. I've got something unique and exciting to share. And then I was like, okay, now that I've earned that credibility, I'm like, okay, now I can recommend this product, build this course, build this ebook, things like that.
Do you think that you would have been better or worse off if you waited longer or less? Why 10,000?
Looking back now, I think I could have pivoted to do that a bit earlier. I didn't have to wait that long, because I was very apologetic in the way that I would just be scared, I don't want to annoy my audience here. I'm going to be talking about a product. I don't want to be pissing them off. I don't want them to think that I'm just always selling products,
Yeah. Do you think people understand the angle that it needs to be content sale? Do you think people are just they don't understand or care?
Well, I used to follow Gary V's jab, 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 right hook. So I was I would apply that principle. And I'm like, every single post that I make that gives free value, this is just building up my respect. So like I'm just respect, and just like all of a sudden, then when I released my Limitless course, which was probably about 4 months ago, it was a sellout. Yeah. Oh, thanks.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that was like a big thing for me.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, from my experience with you, I've been following your work for a long time, and I think I've made a couple of. Actually, I've been. Funnily enough, I was actually icing my balls today.
I just finished, man. So we're
and off the back of some of your content, I started taking Tongkat Ali. I learned that you want to get Indonesian Tongkat Ali, not Malaysian Tongkat Ali. So I mean, that's just off the top of my head. There's probably things that I've just like had in my brain from stuff that you've done. So. Yeah, I mean, you're doing good work, so keep it up because it helps. Yeah. It helps people. So the nootropics and the biohacking stuff. What is biohacking to someone new to it, and what drew you to it?
Yeah, so the term biohacking can scare people off pretty quickly because they're probably thinking like, inserting chips into their wrists and all that sort of stuff.
I'm down for that, to be honest. The moment that beta comes out for that brain chip, sign me up. Be a fucking cyborg.
Yeah. So you'd be in the 0.001% of the population is thinking advancement. But I'd say the word biohacking basically just means to optimize your lifestyle to achieve peak mental and physical performance. So basically biohacking can be something as simple as going outside in the morning to expose your face to sunlight. And that's a biohack because it's going to help with sleep. Or deliberately walking 15 minutes after every single meal. That's a biohack because it's going to lower your blood sugar. It doesn't have to be so polarizing and separating from it's very accessible.
So basically potentially accessible to extreme approach to improve your cognitive performance, physical and cognitive performance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what got you so passionate about it and health optimization and biohacking?
Hypochondria.
Dude, I'm the exact same. Same. I'm everything's fucked. I got to fix it all.
Well, my dad was a pharmacist. I had experience working in the pharmacy, and early on I was hyper fixated on any potential bodily dysfunctions or any sort of hormonal imbalance or anything that was potentially off. I remember there was one stage where I was probably when I was 17 or probably 18 where far out, if I had the level of confidence that I have now at that age, it just life would have been so much easier. But back then I used to be overthinking. I used to be ruminating a lot, just so stuck in my head, and I just couldn't. I also felt like I couldn't articulate myself well. I just felt like I was always very tense and always serious. But now I'm just I think I've biohacked myself to become more relaxed and more sarcastic and fun.
Yeah, it's probably the testosterone levels. All that ball icing. I feel like when you feel you can tell you just feel so different when your testosterone levels are higher. I don't know, mine are definitely not the levels that I know you've said in the past, but I got my bloods done and then I think maybe it was 30. I can't remember. I don't know the exact details. And then I got my bloods done after taking Tongkat Ali for a while, and it had gone up 50%. It's holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I was holy shit. And I feel I'm just ready to take on the world and fuck shit up. Thrust forward into the world.
So good. The hormonal side of things, definitely testosterone for guys who want to feel resilient, confident, assertive, and just
calm as well. That's the interesting part.
Yeah. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Like, you think that guys that are on testosterone are like wild, crazy.
Nothing phases you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've spoken about that, the importance of, testosterone optimization. And, would you be able to elaborate on why it's so crucial?
Yeah. So testosterone is an adaptive and protective hormone. It's our hormone that enables us to take action. And it also, as Dr. Andrew Huberman states, testosterone makes effort feel good. So like, if you think about that closely, like, testosterone makes effort feel good. Okay, what are most people complaining about? Oh, they can't be bothered doing this. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. Like, I can't be bothered. Most people complain that they don't have the willpower. But if testosterone makes effort feel good, then it's going to inevitably assist with willpower. And even though testosterone is important for like sexual functioning and libido, arousal, all of that, I'm more interested in the neurobiological, the neurological benefits of testosterone in the brain. Like, it can, like you said, the calmness. Testosterone increases honesty. It actually makes men more. Yeah, yeah. There was a study. It was actually my very first Instagram post. If you scroll all the way down, there's like, I don't know how many, 700 posts. If you go back to the third post, testosterone increases honesty in men. Yeah.
Fuck, I love that. What value is the kind of testosterone and work for women? Like, is there any use for it, or?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because the podcast I was on this morning with Wendy Myers, she asked me the same question. She said, do women need testosterone? I'm like, they definitely do. And actually, some women get prescribed testosterone cream after they hit 40 years of age. Testosterone
topical cream.
Yeah, topical.
The stuff that you use for, like, is it the same cream that you use when you've got like a rash, or?
Well, that testosterone does have a positive effect on like their libido and their energy and their like muscle growth. So yeah, it's also important in women, but they just don't produce anywhere near as much as men.
What are some, if you were to knock out the top 5 things someone can do with limited downside to increase their testosterone production in their body, what would you do? Like rapid fire, just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. So number 1 would be some form of heavy resistance training or weight training. So like that can be squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing, anything that's going to involve like compound movements. And doing that at least 3 to 4 times a week is what I consider to be ideal. Second to that would be eating a diet that is quite high in monounsaturated fats. So examples of this could be macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts, olive oil, and some other nuts and seeds. Like, they're generally butter. Butter is also beneficial because it's high in saturated fat. So we want to be shifting the diet more towards like saturated fat and monounsaturated fats. So we can talk about so veganism or a vegetarian diet can be problematic because they're missing out on this, the saturated fat, for example.
That's it. Yeah, episode's done. We're done. We've just got cancelled.
Jeez, we're going to lose all your vegan. If you've got any vegan listeners, they're going to unsubscribe.
It's game over. Yeah. But so run me through why that's a problem. So there is a saturated fat in plants?
Yeah, well, that's correct. There's saturated fat is only found in coconut oil, but it's not the same type of saturated fat that's found in meat. And if you look at the nutrients that are found in meat, the bioavailability of these nutrients in meat, it's much more easily recognized by the body. And the other issue with plants is that vegetables, specifically vegetables, not so much fruits. We could talk about fruits separately because fruit, in my opinion, is extremely beneficial, extremely healthy. but some vegetables like spinach, kale, broccoli, cabbage, some of these vegetables have anti-nutrients, which can actually
Keep hearing
block.
This. Keep hearing this. It sounds very. It goes against everything you've thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean?
I know. It's like your parents when you're younger, like, eat your veggies, but it's like you're like spitting it out.
Mum.
Yeah.
Do you know about the phthalates? 4-year-old me.
Exactly. So like in terms of like vegetable consumption, like there are certain vegetables that can be, problematic due to these anti-nutrients, oxalates, lectins, things like that can actually hinder metabolism.
I meant to say oxalates, not phthalates. I don't know where that came from. I'm like, yeah. So if somebody is eating vegetables, like I like vegetables. I used to eat a big salad and a steak that was my meal. It was great. But then I started coming across this stuff and it wigged me out a little bit. So is there a place for leafy greens, for example, and how do you minimize the oxalate risk or, inability to gain nutrients and, the effects of the gut? I think will the oxalates affect your gut as well negatively?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely, don't get me wrong. Like I still definitely eat quite a lot of vegetables, but I'm just very careful with the ones that I select. And then I'm not also going overboard, but I'm just minimizing the intake of these bad vegetables. Things that are great are like raw. So carrots, they're good for like general digestion and stool quality. White button mushrooms, they're great for like digestion. And then there's a few other vegetables. Like I eat a lot of rocket, a lot of rocket. And that's because there's actually some animal studies suggesting that rocket can actually increase testosterone as well.
Yeah, we love that. So the leafy greens, not the kale, sorry, not the spinach. What if I don't know if this is correct, but I read or heard somewhere that when you put olive oil and like vinegar and lemon with the leafy greens, it mitigates it? Is that wrong or right? Is that just some random shit that I've come across?
Jeez, I don't know. I have no idea which blog article you came across for that.
But it is unequivocally incorrect, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What about well then on that note, there's a big biohacker through Brian Johnson at the moment, who's the man about town that everyone's talking about in this space. But he's vegan. So what are your thoughts around that? Like he eats a lot of vegetables.
Is he still vegan?
He's still vegan.
So he doesn't eat any animal? I didn't actually know that.
He's vegan. He's completely plant-based.
But the thing is, so I understand that because he's compensating by taking testosterone. He's on testosterone. So he's actually, so I understand how he's like trying to trick the body. Like he's going to be like, I'll be on the vegan diet because he knows polyphenols and flavonoids are like anti-aging, but then he'll like substitute that in other ways with supplements and peptides and stuff.
Well, he did mention in some of the content that it's more of an ethical choice than a choice about, optimal health. So it's an interesting one. I mean, there's so far you can dig into it, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if he shares his blood work, obviously, looking at blood test results, like that's obviously going to be important, but I think he's got his that is like the most extreme version of biohacking. Like he's pushing, he's basically a representation of like, he'll only be able to appeal to like a really small percentage of the population because they're going to be like, exactly. But for me, I'm just like many, many tiers below that. I'm just like more of a practical, like you can ice your balls. Like
I don't know why I find it so funny. It just never gets old.
Yeah.
So what we got 3, and then what else would you say? So no, not eating anti-nutrients. Anything else that's on the top of the list?
Yeah, I'd say I would actually say sunlight exposure is going to be beneficial. Yeah, I mean, 2 to 3 seconds, sunlight, sunning the balls is going to be good, but not for a long period of time.
Okay, so me sitting on a rooftop in New York every morning for a minute and a half is not the move. I've done that for a couple of months.
Yeah, I'd say definitely like considering that, and then also getting good quality sleep is, that's a no-brainer. Like you really got to, if you're in the health optimization space and you're not prioritizing sleep, then, like you should be. It's
a house
super
of cards
important.
otherwise. Yeah, for sure. So what's your current, morning routine, health routine, and say supplement stack? Like what are you working on at the moment?
So one thing that's been pretty consistent that I still do every single day is when I wake up in the morning, I have a treadmill desk. So I always make sure to, I basically get on that treadmill desk and I do 10,000 steps before my first meal. And for me, it might sound like a lot, but I'm cranking out like two hours of emails just first thing in the morning, just like smashing it out. Like that's definitely one thing. I've seen some pretty funny videos on Instagram with like my biohacking morning routine, and they're like sort of they're mocking. Some of them get really funny, like really funny. Like,
I did one a little while ago. It was quite stupid.
It's like I brush my teeth 11 times to the left, right, and specifically 12 times to the right, as that has been shown to, just stuff like that. Or like, I go to the kettle and I turn on the kettle with only one sock on because that has been.
Oh, it's outrageous. But also kind of valid. I mean, I wonder half the time does much of this stuff actually really help. Like,
yeah,
there's got to be good routines, but.
Well, the best guy for like satire, like it's basically satire, is JP Sears. Do you know him on YouTube? He's the funniest. He's probably the best YouTuber for like, spelled J.P and then Sears. Like he's hilarious for that sort of stuff. But in terms of my morning routine, like getting started, like if I look at it, so I rarely wake up with an alarm.
Yeah.
Like I don't like using alarms. Like I don't think anyone likes an alarm.
Have you tried the light alarms? Do you have a light alarm?
So my entire apartment, obviously it looks like I'm based in New York, but I'm not.
Wait, you're not in New York? You could have fooled me. The only thing that's missing is the loud, obnoxious sirens every 5 seconds.
Yeah. My entire apartment is like where I am here. There's like, I've got red light panels on every single corner of every single window. And I've also got red light above my bed. So my apartment here it looks like a red light district from the outside. Like it looks like a brothel, but it's not. I'm a biohacker.
Don't be ridiculous. Sex lowers testosterone.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So like my morning wake up is like driven by the light in my room. Like I open the blind and stuff like, but yeah, I've heard good things about those light clocks. Have you ever used one?
I love it.
Oh, sick.
I love it. It just makes that wake up so much easier. I'm much the same. I don't really have, I try not to have set an alarm and I wake up when I wake up. But when I do need to wake up, that just much easier. Yeah. And also the light just kind of primes your brain to get moving.
Do you sleep with an eye mask or?
No, my room's pretty dark and I've got all those little black bits of like tape over pretty much everything. So it's pretty dark, and then a little white noise thing. And lately I've been taping my mouth and wearing a nasal strip. So if I have a girl come over or something, I'll be like, "Are you done?" Because I'm about to tape my mouth.
Been there.
And you know what? If they can't handle it, they're not for me.
Exactly. Yep. I think like if you had to like do the most extreme example, it'd be like eye mask on. eye mask on, nasal dilator on, mouth tape, earplugs. What else? You'd be sleeping on an incline. Which
Wait, what?
Oh, you haven't heard about that?
Wait, what? No.
Oh, geez. Here we go. So it's called, it was actually, if you search on YouTube, inclined bed therapy, I think my video is the top ranked video on that topic. It's like sleeping on an incline is actually extremely beneficial for a number of reasons. Number one, it helps the brain to detoxify.
Wow.
Number two, if you have lower back pain, it like really helps with lower back pain. And number three is like if you have acid reflux or heartburn, if you ever get GERD or reflux, it can really help with that. But yeah, it's called incline bed. Well, this is going to be a tricky one for you, Adam. Do you still have any of the textbooks from high school? Like, do you have any?
Yeah, probably. I mean, somewhere.
If deep down in storage, well, you grab the subjects that you hated the most, the ones that you didn't like the most, and you slip them under the head end of your bed. Like so that your head is elevated, not your legs. So you're sleeping like. Your head
I was
is
thinking
elevated.
I'd buy like a swivel thing that just like a doctor's thing, and I'm like I'm like, hey, get into my bed, and then it's just like 45-degree angle.
Jeez. Yes. Sometimes the incline is so intense that I slip off the bed.
And then I'm up, ready to take on the day.
Jeez.
So you lift your head up a little bit.
Yeah. So like all you need to do is raise it like 6 inches, like 6 to 8 inches. So that's like, it's not a massive incline, but as long as the whole bed is inclined, not just the top half, so that your blood flow is improved. But the practice goes back to the like ancient Egyptians. They actually believe they slept on an incline because they knew back then it was beneficial for their health.
I'm going to look into king bed incline, like adapters or something. I don't know.
Well, there's a business idea for you. If you can.
I was thinking, yeah. I mean, it's quite niche, but
sure.
And what's kind of the supplement stack that you're working with at the moment, and why?
Yeah, so the recent addition that I've added to my stack has been something called PEA. It's got a really long name, palmitoyl and ethylamide, which is like a bit of a mouthful. But that one there,
COVID.
You've used it. You've used it,
and NAC during COVID.
Nice, yeah.
NAD. When I was wigging out.
I'm glad you're familiar with it, because everyone I talk to about it, most of the people I talk to are like, what the hell is that? Like, I've never heard of it. But my current stack at the moment is I'm using 5 grams of taurine in the morning. So I always take taurine because it will completely nuke anxiety for me. Like, it'll just sequester that.
Love it. Do you find yourself anxious?
The anxiety for me I know where it stems from. It's feeling like I'm being pulled by being pulled in so many directions. Cause I'm like, I'll look at my emails and I'll be like, fuck, like what do I work? Like where do I allocate my time? Like, it's like that can become a little bit overwhelming. And I'm not going to lie. Like when you run your own business and, you're managing staff, my brother works for me now. I've got an intern, I've got multiple video editors and doing all that. Like the stress comes, sorry?
It's a lot.
Yeah. The stress comes from like making sure they're all good as well. Like, are they all good? Cause they need to be all good, but yeah, I'd be lying to say that I don't get anxious, because I just do. I do.
You just need more testosterone, bro. Just double it. Just double it and double it again.
Jeez, you honestly, you should set up like a whole page of memes. Just like you kill it. You kill it.
It's funny. I'm the most serious. Like I'm so deadly serious about my health and wellness and this space, but I'm also a complete piss take at the same time.
That's good. That is gold. That's gold. Like where I study, I studied naturopathy. So you could imagine at my university is just full of hypochondriacs, just full of them, because everyone's so like that's why they get into nutrition naturopathy. But
hypochondriacs, and then just people who are just potentially not appreciative of the status quo. It's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, it's very valid. Very valid. Yeah.
So you got taurine. I want to just quickly on the anxiety front. I'll come back to it, but we'll run me through the taurine.
So taurine, I mean, every now and then I'll sprinkle in some Tonkat Ali or Fedosia.
So you don't have that daily?
Not anymore, because I noticed that it has some side effects for me, at least.
What happens to you?
It actually decreases sexual sensitivity. So it actually will make
that makes sense. It'll make sense now. It used to be like 20 seconds and now it's a minute. It's crazy.
That's what is that? From 20 seconds to a minute.
That's 5x, bro. No, 3x.
No, 3x. Yeah. And look, I'm a busy entrepreneur. I got
shit to do. That gives me at least another minute to cry afterwards.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So Tonkat Ali, I use Tutka, which is good for liver health. I use that quite a lot. And then I also take artichoke extract, because that shit actually helps my verbal fluency like no other supplement. Like I just feel like I can articulate myself better.
No shit. So is that it's literally just an artichoke but in powder?
Yeah. Like it's I mean, if you look at it from traditional Chinese medicine, artichoke extract is used for liver health. It's like literally prescribed for liver health, but I know what it's doing in the brain, and I like what it's doing in the brain, and I can feel its effects. And there's a reason why it's still in my protocol for it's 4 years straight now. So I'm not going to get rid of it. I'll keep taking it.
Well, you are very articulate, so you must be doing something right. So, on the articulation side of things, what are your thoughts on microdosing mushrooms, the form of nootropic?
Oh, well, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned this, because when I was presenting in Amsterdam about 4 weeks ago at the Biohacking Summit.
I was in Amsterdam. Oh, I was there the week after that.
I think we messaged each other about that. I think on Instagram or something.
I was there for ADE, which is the music conference.
So was I.
Well, we should hang out.
I know. Jeez.
Next year.
My brother's also a DJ, so he's just obsessed with that sort of stuff. I'm also really obsessed with house, techno, minimal.
Bro, this is what I do for a living. I run events like club stuff and parties.
Jeez.
And all house music.
Jeez, I know who to go to if I need tickets then.
Literally. We're doing a festival in Thailand in Feb. So it's all house music, 4 days on CoPP. It's kind of crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway,
awesome.
I digress. So microdosing mushrooms is a form of nootropics.
Yeah. So at the conference in Amsterdam, the theme of the conference was expanding consciousness. That was the theme of the conference or the summit. And so my presentation was on non-psychedelic cognitive enhancement. Mm-hmm. But in my discussion, I was talking about how psilocybin works in the brain. And obviously I'm the mechanism of action guy. I'm the guy who always talks about mechanisms. How does shit work? Why does it work? How does it work? A very logical engineer styled brain, if you want to think of it like that. But if you look at psilocybin, funnily enough, I actually haven't used it yet, even though I've tried. If I had to tally up the number of nootropics, peptides, drugs, herbs, supplements that I've used over the years, I'm not even joking that I think it would be over 250, probably even 300 different compound I've subjected myself to. I've even taken things that I know no one else in Australia has ever used before.
I was eating wood at one point.
And lo and behold, I woke up with morning wood.
Yeah. It increases testosterone. shavings on your steak.
Jeez, sawdust.
We are really, this conversation is really divulged into something.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
And I'm here for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So the mushroom stuff.
Yeah, so we'll go back. So looking at so I recently, like it's only a matter of time before I subject my consciousness to psilocybin. It's only a matter of.
I'll give you some. I'm serious. Because I do this. I do this all the time. Like this is something that I have been playing around with for like a year or so now, and I've noticed that from my personal experience. Like I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol. I've cut back recently on any added sugar. So I'm trying to get to a really solid baseline of who I am and how my body processes. Like this is decaf just because I like warm milk. It's like a fun experience. It's got nothing to do with any goals. But I microdose when I can get access to mushrooms. I'll microdose maybe 0.1 of a gram 5 days a week. And I am happy, alert, and my brain is just like, and really creative. It's really, really interesting. I highly suggest you explore it.
I will be exploring it. Obviously, look, the way in which I'll evaluate it is if it can initiate or elicit this response that I'm looking for, I will be forever happy. And that is, have you heard me talk about the anhedonia from ashwagandha? Have you seen me post?
No.
About that?
No.
Are you familiar with what anhedonia refers to?
I know what ashwagandha is, but I don't know what anhedonia.
So anhedonia is a symptom of depression where the individual cannot experience pleasure. Like they have a blunted pleasure response. Like there's like a numbing effect. Like the pleasure response is like, it's like eating a chocolate bar or ejaculating or doing things that should be pleasurable don't have any pleasure.
And that comes from taking ashwagandha?
Yes. Okay. Yes. But if psilocybin can like reverse that effect, then I'll be very impressed, like extremely impressed.
So do you take ashwagandha regularly?
Oh, no. Like if you go on, I'm like the guy who like popularized why we should not be using ashwagandha.
Interesting.
Because it can cause that anhedonia.
Is that with everybody or is that just with some people?
It's not with everyone, but I get messages, probably 1 or 2 messages every single day of guys that are like on bordering on suicidal because they can't reverse this effect.
After they've stopped taking it?
Yeah.
Wow. Have you spoken to any Ayurvedic doctors about this?
So I was actually, when I brought it up and I discussed it, funnily enough, like the company who makes this particular ashwagandha, it's called KSM 66. That's the extraction. When I brought it up, they actually threatened to sue me for like talking about it, which is like typical, they're going to keep my mouth shut with this. Yeah. Pharmacy, yeah. But in terms of like reversing the effects, our Ayurvedic doctors, they basically just say it's not suitable for a certain, they call it dosha, for a certain dosha. But in terms of reversing the effect, I've spoken to like 4 homeopaths. I've spoken to multiple doctors, multiple therapists, but no one, like, to reverse the side effect, it's really, really tricky, really, really difficult.
So what's the mechanism of the side effect? Do you understand what's going on?
This is $1 million question. If anyone can figure this out, like they're literally going to save lives.
So what's it called again?
Anhedonia. So you've heard of hedonic?
Yeah.
Like hedonism?
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of hedonism, like anhedonic.
Gotcha. So the reason why I ask is I interview one of my friends is an Ayurvedic doctor and she's been doing it for quite a while now and she recommended ashwagandha to me a while ago and I was taking it on and off. And I'd be curious to get you to talk because I'd love to, because she's really open. She's not going to, she's not one of those people that are like going to get upset or annoyed, but she'd be very curious. And maybe there's something that you guys, some middle ground you guys might be able to get to based on both of your individual experiences.
I'd love to hear her perspective. I would love to hear like what she thinks is the reason why it's still having an effect when some users stop taking it. Like, why is it persisting? It's a really, if you type in on Google, like, because I've put it out there now, like there are so many Reddit threads, there are so many TikTok videos, there are so many like Instagram posts about the anhedonia. So yeah, I'd be curious to, I'd be curious to connect with her for sure.
Yeah. And she's crushing it. She's really, really doing well in her space.
What's her name?
Priscilla.
She's based in Melbourne?
She's based in California.
Okay, cool.
So we met in Tulum. And she came on my podcast as well. We spoke about Ayurveda.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm a very wide, got a wide base of knowledge. Know a little bit about a lot, but okay, interesting. Well, look, if I highly recommend you explore the microdosing side because it's really, really interesting. Really interesting.
Oh, look, this is I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad we're talking about it because the way in which psilocybin works is we have quite a lot of data now. We actually do understand quite a lot about what it's doing in the brain and how it's interacting with specific serotonin receptors, which also happen to be, one of the receptors that ashwagandha like messes up or
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have some crossover mechanism. I was considering, I've already asked AI to help me. I've already maxed out AI to help with this.
How did you do that?
I used ChatGPT. I basically asked it really intelligent questions around like explain the mechanism of action of psilocybin, explain the mechanism of action of ashwagandha. Now also tell me the similarities and differences in the way that they work.
Did you feed it studies prior to doing so?
I think I fed it one study.
This is what I'm going to give you a bit of a little tip right now. So when you gave me all of those podcast episodes, I pulled all the transcripts from them and then uploaded all the transcripts into ChatGPT. And then I uploaded all of the transcripts of my past episodes into that. So I've got a knowledge base of how I chat you. And then I asked it for questions. And I took about 20 questions and I took the ones I liked, I changed them, and then I sent them to you. That's my process, I guess.
That's awesome.
And it took me 15 minutes.
That's so good. Damn.
I'm obsessed with this stuff. So I'm obsessed with the communicating to AI. And that's why I'm probably the first guy to say, yeah, give me a brain chip, because I think it's going to be the humans. It's not going to be the AI versus humans. It's going to be the AI augmented humans versus the non-AI augmented humans.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. We'll have to chat about that offline. We'll have to connect and chat about that. But going back to psilocybin, like, do I see potential? Yeah, I definitely do. Do I see it being somewhat dangerous? 100%. I've spoken to he's a neuroscientist, and he's also like the biggest advocate for different psychedelics and drugs. Like, I think he's exposed himself. I think he's taken LSD for like 20 days in a row once. Imagine. He's just
what a bender.
So he when he talks about like psilocybin and things like that, what was I saying there? Yeah, like he was basically educating and explaining a little bit about that, and I do see potential, but he's also said, like, you need to be ready because, psilocybin it depends on the dosage, obviously, like
0.1 milligrams. So 0.1 of a gram of mushrooms. If you're feeling anything, you've taken too much. Like, you want to be taking an imperceptible amount where, prime example, right? When I started doing it, I took some, I worked for a couple of hours. I was focused, and I have a lot of challenges. I'm getting better, but I've had a lot of challenges with focus, and it just clicks me into gear. I will focus on a task so much better than normally without it. And I remember one day, there was this clear day. I worked, smashed out a couple of hours work, got in my car, driving to a meeting. The sun's out. I'm listening to music. I'm like, I'm really happy. It's been a really good, productive day. And then I was just sitting at the traffic lights and I clicked. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I took the mushrooms. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's how you want to be. Yeah. You want to be going about your day, and then you're like, oh shit, why is this so much better?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're referring to. I've definitely been able to unlock states like that with certain stacks and drugs and there have been some particular head states that I've been able to unlock where I'm like, fuck, I feel like Superman right now. Like I feel I've actually, well, this is not intentionally, but I actually induced a hypomania at one stage where I was like not needing much sleep and I was just feeling euphoric.
You weren't smoking meth, were you? I hope.
No, this was a fully legal stack that just like sent me overboard where I was like, damn, this is phenomenal. Like I feel so good.
I feel like with that sort of stuff though, you got to be careful, right? Because there's no free lunch.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a biological free lunch. Yeah, it's definitely true. There was eventually, I think after like 4 or 5 days, there's going to be a crash. There was a crash.
But it's tools, you know. If you've got that in the back of your mind now, it's like, okay, if I need a sprint for 4 days, this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Yeah, and you see entrepreneurs, and like you go to Silicon Valley, like you've probably been to like America.
So I lived in New York. I've been living in New York for the winters for the last 2 years now. So wow. I love it. We can talk about all this offline. Like there's a lot we can chat about. Yeah, I like you. You're a cool guy. Sure. We live down the road too. So maybe we'll grab dinner and talk some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But that's a hustle culture that a lot of the times they finally peep their head out of the top of that and they go, what the fuck have I just done? I've just taken 10 years off my life. So I don't know if that's maybe 20, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the approach either. I do like the approach of just like chipping away slow and steady for a long time.
Yeah, mind you, I've definitely formulated stacks that have been like, this is consistent, reliable, and no crash and no come down. And I can reliably say that I can use this every day, just like, you know, without coffee, you know, replacing coffee, where I'm not crashing, but I'm able to like get myself into a GSD mode, which is it's my wallpaper on my phone, which is get shit done.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like that for me, and that's like you can look at that wallpaper and be like, damn, this guy must be focused and productive. Like I am.
It's opposite because you need to remind yourself.
I am very focused and productive, but at one point it was becoming isolating because I was just like, this is not like, that's when I started seeing like a counselor, and then she was telling me like, you know, become more holistic and, you know, go to these social groups, go to feel good dips, you know, those events, different things like that.
Yeah. Well, my one at the moment is a tweet from Alex Hormozy that says, it's arrogant to think you can do multiple things at once and beat someone who does one thing with all their effort. Pick one thing, go all in, then you become the one that's hard to beat. Because I'm constantly coming up with stupid ideas and doing stupid shit and never picking one thing. So my word of the year has been intentionality. I just need to be intentional. I need to pick one or two things and just fucking focus on them. Which I think I'm getting on top of it slowly because I'm realizing that I probably have ADHD. You know what I mean? So I'm noticing things that are happening that make a lot more sense with the framework of being neurodivergent, for example.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I really like that. Alex Hormozy's
He's a beast, that guy.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he's crushing it. I want to go back a little bit because I'm conscious of your time, but I really want to touch on the anxiety thing because I'm going through something right now that I'm really curious about, and I don't know why it's happening, but for the longest time, I've been extremely anxious as well. I'm talking like the default state is just this churn in my stomach and this heightened just fight or flight. And I've done everything I could possibly do. Well, I thought I'd done everything that I could possibly do to work through it. Like I went to therapy. I meditated every morning. I did yoga. I've done all the things. I've journaled. And then the doctor and the psychologist at one point said to me, maybe it's got nothing to do with just anxiety, like emotional anxiety. Maybe it's something physical. And then I started thinking, oh, maybe it's a gut thing. And then I stopped drinking alcohol it's been about a year and a bit now. And, but what's really kicked it up a gear now has been two things. I've quit coffee. Coffee has taken I think quitting coffee after getting through it has taken my baseline anxiety level from a 7 to a 2. It's gone. It's just gone. And then the second thing is instead of fasting the day and eating at night, I'm waking up in the morning and I'm eating a fucking steak and I'm eating broccoli and I'm eating cauliflower and avocado and eggs. And I'm just smashing that down and I'm taking the dog for a walk and then I'm working.
Nice.
Switched it up completely. Nice. And A, my anxiety's gone. B, my focus has just like gone up a notch. I'm not crashing on the meals that I ate because I would crash a lot eating. And then I'm not binge eating at night because it's as though my blood sugar's chilling. So it's been really interesting.
Yeah, that's like you hear. I mean, that's an incredible story. So you're saying like just the simple changes like that. So like starting the day with like a high meat, high fat, high protein diet. Did you just eat at night before that? I
would just fast. I would skip breakfast, lunch, and then eat dinner. And then I'd end up eating dinner. And then after dinner, I would end up snacking. And then I'd be eating chips and chocolate till fucking midnight. But now the urge has gone. It's really strange. Like the physical desire to snack that I've had since I was a child is going away.
That's awesome.
It's all because of a steak in the morning.
And the swap to like a decaf, did you say?
Well, I didn't even do that daily. That's just like treating myself every now and again.
Jeez, that's incredible. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's worth trying. Maybe look, you're going to have to cop it. You're going to have a shit one for a while.
I don't drink. I actually don't. I actually don't drink coffee. Like
caffeine? Anything caffeinated?
Zero caffeinated. Yeah. I only use it if I'm doing a 4-kilometer time trial.
Yeah. It's a tool, right? It's a tool.
Yeah.
Do you,
I can appreciate it. I can definitely appreciate that. But yeah, starting the breakfast, like I'm mirroring pretty similar, like high protein, high fat breakfast. But like if we're looking at a hormonal perspective, like chronic fasting is like a great way to like decrease testosterone, affect vitamin D. So like there's conflicting goals. Like you'll get lean and shredded because you're not eating, but then you've got like your hormonal goals and your energy and focus different,
For sure. What do you think about detoxing and like the detox dudes and those kind of guys?
I think there's a time and place. They can be, hugely beneficial. Like these detox, they're not fads. Some of these detox approaches, like the juice, like those juice cleansers, like they don't really activate the detox pathways. You need to be on supplements. Like you need powerful supplements for that. But I think it can be useful, if somebody's really struggling.
Well, I've just started a detox course. So I'll come back to you once I've gone, the detox dudes course I've done. I've just got his like proper, like high-end course with the chat group and everything. So I haven't started because I'm a bit nervous about what's going to happen because there's a lot of butt stuff. But once I've done it, once I've gone through it, maybe we can jump on a call and I can run you through what's happened, and maybe I can even kind of like give you some of the tips, the stuff that they've done, and it might be useful for you. I'm super conscious of your time. So do you mind if we go through a couple of like rapid fires?
Yeah.
One more question, then a few rapid fires, and then we'll call it a day.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So look, we've spoken about a lot of the naturopathy stuff, and we've spoken about some interesting, the fringe is not the right word, but like pioneering novel. Pioneering novel, supplements and the biohacking, all that sort of stuff. All of this stuff, and a big chunk of this stuff, is not accepted in Western medicine. And to the point where, say, I went to the doctors this week and I said to him, hey, can I please get some blood tests done? And he said, what's wrong? I said, look, I regularly like to get blood tests. He's like, oh, we'll go to a naturopath because the only reason why we would get blood tests is if something's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want something to be wrong, so I'm just getting on top of it. And he said, yeah, no, I can't help you. So prime example is that, right? I mean, that's just one doctor. My normal doctors are pretty solid, and they're like, you funny guy. Yeah, you're healthy, but all right, we'll do it. But this guy just wasn't having a bar of it. And that's half the problem. And also when it comes down to it, there's these TV shows of, you get a panel of unhealthy looking people that are talking about health to say, what's his name? What's the carnivore guy? I forget his name. Just getting roasted by, for example, as an example, he's just getting roasted by like this panel of highly unhealthy looking people. Yeah. And then the wide population is like, yeah, get him. So how the fuck does a normal person navigate this world? Like, how do they do this? Oh no, I've lost you. Oh, I've lost you for a second.
No, like it's definitely, I mean, in terms of how do they receive information, where do they look? Like if you look at the news and the media, like most of the time what they say, you should do the opposite. Like
that's kind of fucked. So
it's just, there's a lot of, we cop it as well on social media. Like I've been censored many times and I'm always shadow banned. Instagram's like permanently shadow banned. Like I've got 60,000 followers and I'm only getting like 1,000 story views. Yeah. So it's just,
yeah. So what do you do? Do you go onto Twitter or something, or?
I recently joined Twitter. Just email, like trying to build my email list is the goal.
Yeah. So how does somebody survive this? Like how does somebody and just for what it's worth, you'll have your kind of things that but then I could go and find 10 other creators that say the complete fucking opposite. It's like, what do you do?
It can be challenging. It can be challenging, but I think one thing is like just for the person who's trying to navigate it all, like to try and sit and be comfortable with what they've decided upon. Like, but also be open-minded. It's tricky. It would be tricky for the everyday consumer.
I feel like you've got to just try a bunch of things and see what fits with you.
Yeah. Experiment. Self-experimentation, because no one knows your body. Well, there's a saying, no one knows your body better than you do. But just self-experiment.
Okay. Yeah. It's, we could probably talk about a whole hour of just that. I'm sure we will at some point. We should do a number 2. This has been really
definitely
solid.
round 2. Round 2 is needed.
Give me some time, maybe in 6 months to keep building it, and then we'll come back and go again. All right. Quick rapid fire. If you could only do one tourist activity before you died, what would it be?
Probably bungee jumping.
Why haven't you gone bungee jumping?
I want to feel that. I want to experience that feeling of like free falling.
Just jump off without a parachute. See what happens.
Well, you did say before you die. You didn't say how I'm going to die.
Die straight afterwards. I love that. If you could only recommend one book for somebody to read in their whole lifetime, what would it be?
I don't read books. I write books.
Hey, what one of your books do you want them to read then?
The Boost Your Biology Encyclopedia. That's my book that I wrote. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And if you could give the listeners the top 3 things they could do to create a life similar to yours, what would that look like?
Number one, like some sort of like self-journaling, like any form of like self-awareness journaling. So number one. Number two would be build your tribe, like have a tribe of people that are like-minded around you so that you can have fun and hang out with, that you don't feel like a weirdo. Number three would be stay physically active as much as you can. Like physical activity combats depression and anxiety very well.
Mm-hmm. Love it. And just a nice little easy question to round it off. What's the meaning of life?
The meaning of life to me is progression through social connection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucas. Appreciate you coming on the pod.
Yeah. Awesome connecting, Adam. We'll definitely be in touch.
Sounds good, my man.